All right, here's the setup. We're going to talk about the setup in steps so that everybody can get the game set up in the proper order. First thing we're going to do is everybody gets a board, and you can see the whole board in front of you. These little guys are what we call ore deposits. Each game board will start with 7 ore deposits, and they're going to be in the exact same place on everybody's board. The advantage there is the beginning of each new game, it'll be a completely different setup, so each player feels like they don't have the game memorized. So one player starts, they simply just put an ore deposit down, and you notice there's a number sequence on the outside. So this is spot C5. So they call out C5, and the rest of the players put their ore deposit down on C5. And then it continues to go around until every county has one ore deposit, and they'll have 2 counties will have 2. And it doesn't matter which ones as long as all 5 are filled up first. Then each player is going to get $20,000. So our money increment, the highest denomination is 5,000. The next one is 1,000, and then the last one is 500. So keep that in mind when you're bidding. There's auctions in the game. It's even 500 increments, nothing lower than that. The next thing is you'll want a blank envelope so you can put your money. And it's important too because during the play, when you're auctioning, if the other player knows how much money you have, you will be at disadvantage. So get your envelope out, keep your money to yourself. The other thing we do is we put a passenger car tile out someplace, and that's a special incentive. The first player to connect track to 2 towns gets to purchase a passenger car for cost. In the games we played before, they got it free. We're changing that rule to say they got to pay the $3,000. They don't have to buy it if they don't want to. The next thing we do is there's 6 master town tiles right here. They all look the same. The arrows indicate you can build track from all 4 directions, or actually any 4 directions, or all of them. And then on the back, there's a name of a town. So there's 6 town names on the board on the outside. So somebody shakes them and then literally hands them out blind to each player. They turn it over and then place their town on the corresponding name. And face it up so you got the black mark arrows up. Whoever gets the closest to Durango, or actually gets Durango, gets to go first. So keep that in mind in the game as well. And then the other things to set up are just to lay out your cards in a pile. There's several of these, but depending on how many players there are in the game, determines how many and which ones sit out. And those are in the instructions. For example, if you're going to have a 4-player game, the Gandy Dancer B, which is an orange card, B, that one actually sits out. If you've got a 5-player game, then the small treasure card sits out. And backing up as well on the 4-player game, not only does the Gandy Dancer B card sit out, but also the large treasure card sits out as well. So then you'll end up with 9. And what you'll do is there's 2 conductor cards. And there's one of them, and here's the other one. So at the beginning of the first round, both conductor cards, they just sit off to the side because they'll get cycled in the beginning of the second round. So what ends up happening on the gameplay is there'll always be 2 that don't get played per round. Those 2 then sit out. The ones that sat out before come back in. Makes it harder to kind of anticipate what's coming up. Then the other thing we do is the game pieces. We just literally dump the box out on the table because you can tell there's a ton of stuff. So we just literally dump it out on the table. And then as the players aren't doing anything on their turn, they can start stacking those items up in front of them. And you're stacking the different tracks. So when it's time to lay track, you can go right to your supply pile, as well as your different rolling stock and locomotives. So now we're going to do a telescopic downward so you can see a lot better on the actual track laying. And we're going to focus over here on the left county where Durango starts. And I'll demonstrate the track laying.